I always believed betrayal came with warning signs. A change in tone, a strange silence, a shift in someone's eyes. But I was wrong. Sometimes betrayal arrives wrapped in Christmas lights, disguised as the people you love most. My name is Harper Lane, and last Christmas Eve, I watched my entire world collapse in one brutal moment. My husband didn't just leave me. He boarded a first-class flight to Paris. But he wasn't alone. He left with my sister. I thought that night was rock bottom, the darkest moment a woman could possibly experience. I thought nothing could hurt more than discovering the two people I trusted most had chosen each other over me. I was wrong again, because just hours later, as snow fell quietly outside my window, a stranger knocked on my door, a billionaire. He looked at me with trembling eyes and said, "Harper, you're my daughter." Christmas Eve was supposed to feel magical cinnamon in the air, warm lights glowing through frosted windows, laughter echoing somewhere down the street. Instead, my house felt like a cold, hollow shell holding its breath. Evan kissed my cheek before leaving for work that morning. "I'll be home early tonight," he whispered. "I want Christmas Eve to feel special, Harp." He smiled the way he always did, soft, reassuring, familiar, the kind of smile you trust without thinking. I believed him. God, I believed him. By 6 p.m., the roast was in the oven. By 8 p.m., the candles were melting. By 10 p.m., my smile had cracked into something sharp and uncomfortable. I texted him. "Are you okay? When are you coming home?" Delivered. Unread. I tried calling. Straight to voicemail. At 11:43 p.m., my phone buzzed. For a split second, relief washed over me, until I saw the notification. A flight confirmation. 2 passengers. First class. Omaha, Paris. Departing 12:15 a.m. Passenger 1, Evan Lane. Passenger 2, Madeline Hart. My sister. My own sister. My heart dropped so violently I almost couldn't breathe. I reread the names over and over again, hoping the letters would rearrange themselves into something less monstrous. They didn't. The room spun. I grabbed my coat and keys without thinking, tears blurring everything. 15 minutes later, I was pounding on my parents' front door, snow whipping against my face. My mother opened it, startled. "Harper? Honey, what's wrong?" I shoved the phone into her hands. "Tell me this isn't real." My father appeared behind her, jaw tight. "Harper, it's late." "Where is Madeline?" I screamed. My mother's face drained of all color. "She left earlier tonight," she whispered. "Said she had plans." "Plans?" I laughed, a broken, hollow sound. "Her plans were my husband?" My father rubbed his temples. "We shouldn't talk about this now. Come inside, we'll—" I stepped back, shaking. No. No more pretending. No more lies. I walked away before either of them could stop me. Back home, I collapsed onto the living room floor, staring at the Christmas tree Evan and I decorated just 3 nights earlier. The ornaments blurred through my tears, little wooden stars we bought on our first date, glass bulbs with our initials, the snowflake topper we argued about for almost an hour. All of it meaningless now. I curled into myself, arms wrapped tight around my ribs as if my body was trying to hold itself together. My husband left me, I whispered into the empty room. And he left with my sister. But the worst part wasn't the betrayal. It was the realization that everything I thought I understood about love, family, loyalty, had been a lie. And yet, even that heartbreak wasn't the end. Because in less than 3 hours, someone would knock on my door. And the truth he carried would tear my world open all over again. I must have fallen asleep on the living room rug, because when I opened my eyes, the fireplace had dimmed into soft orange embers. My body ached from crying, and the clock on the wall blinked 2:13 a.m. For one blessed second, I forgot everything. Then the memory crashed back. Evan. Madeline. Paris. My breath hitched. And then, knock, knock. The sound sliced through the silence. I bolted upright. Who on earth would come to my house at this hour? My mind spun. Was it Evan? Was he here to apologize? A small, pathetic spark of hope flickered in my chest. I grabbed a heavy metal candle holder and crept toward the door. Another knock. Firmer this time. "Who is it?" I called, my voice shaking. A pause. Then a man's voice, deep, smooth but trembling at the edges. "Harper Lane?" I froze. I didn't recognize it. Heart hammering, I cracked open the door just an inch. A tall man stood on my snowy porch, silver hair dusted with flakes. A long black wool coat draped over his broad frame. His eyes, sharp, intelligent, strangely familiar, studied me as though he'd been waiting for this moment his entire life. "Yes?" I whispered. "Who are you?" He removed his gloves slowly, almost reverently. "My name is Alexander Hartwell," he said. My grip on the door tightened. Everyone knew that name. The Hartwell family controlled half the wealth in the tri-state area. Their empire was the stuff of news headlines and whispered rumors. But why was he here? Before I could speak, he took a shaky breath. "I know this must feel strange," he said softly. "But I think you and I need to talk." I frowned. "At 2 in the morning?" His eyes softened with something I couldn't place: regret? Hope? Desperation? "I'm sorry for the hour," he murmured. "But after what happened tonight, I couldn't wait another second." I stiffened. "What do you mean? What happened tonight?" He hesitated. "Your husband," he said carefully, "and Madeline." Ice shot down my spine. "How do you know about that?" I whispered. He looked away briefly, gathering himself. "Because Madeline called my son, Griffin, before boarding the plane. And because," he swallowed hard, "because Madeline isn't the only one connected to my family." I blinked. "I don't understand." He stepped closer, lowering his voice, as if afraid the wind might hear him. "Harper, I've been searching for you for almost 30 years. My body went rigid. "You have the wrong person." He shook his head slowly. No, I don't." The snow swirled around us, and for a moment time felt suspended. Then he said the sentence that split my life in two. "Harper, I'm your father." The world tilted violently. I stumbled backward, gripping the doorframe. "My... what?" I breathed. He reached into his coat and pulled out a sealed envelope. "Before you slam the door in my face," he said gently, "please know I came with proof." My heart pounded so hard it hurt. My hands trembled as I stared at the envelope like it might explode. "This can't be real," I whispered. His voice cracked. "I lost your mother, Eleanor, 30 years ago. And then I lost you. I've searched for you every single day since." Tears filled his eyes, not dramatic, not forced, but raw, honest, terrifyingly sincere. "I didn't come to disrupt your life," he said. "But after what happened tonight, you deserve the truth. And I couldn't let you face it alone." For a long moment, neither of us moved. Then, against every instinct in my body, I opened the door wider. "Come in," I whispered. And as he stepped over the threshold, I had no idea that the truth he carried would change everything I thought I knew about love, family, and betrayal. This was only the beginning. Alexander stepped cautiously into my small living room, looking painfully out of place among thrift store furniture and half-melted Christmas candles. He didn't sit until I did, almost as if he feared scaring me into running. I crossed my arms tightly. "Start talking." He nodded once, slowly, as though preparing for something heavy. "Your mother's name was Eleanor Hartwell," he began, voice soft. "She was the love of my life." The way he said it made my chest tighten unexpectedly. "Not romantic. Mournful. She came from an influential family," he continued. "They hated me. Said I was too reckless, too public, too powerful. Eleanor didn't care, until she got pregnant." My breath caught. "With me?" I whispered. He nodded. "When you were born, she became critically ill. She didn't survive." His voice cracked, and he looked away, blinking rapidly. I swallowed hard, unsure whether to believe him or run. "Her parents blamed me for everything," Alexander said. "They believed my world, the Hartwell Empire, was dangerous. They wanted you far away from it, far away from me." A cold realization began forming in my stomach. "So, they took me?" I asked. He met my eyes, full of agony. "They hid you. They paid a desperate couple to adopt you privately and disappear. They made sure no records pointed back to you. Every trail I followed ended in ashes." My heart pounded in my ears. "My parents?" I shook my head violently. "No, they would never do that. They aren't those people." "Harper," he said gently, "they didn't kidnap you. They protected you, in their way. But they weren't your blood." I felt the room closing in, my lungs tightening. "And you expect me to just believe that?" I snapped. He exhaled shakily, reached into his coat, and handed me the envelope again. Inside was a document. "DNA results 99.8%. Parent-child match. Alexander Hartwell and Harper Lane. My hands trembled. This could be forged, I whispered weakly. He nodded. It could, which is why I waited until I had something else. He pulled out a faded photograph. A woman with soft eyes, gentle curls, and a warm smile, holding a newborn baby wrapped in a blanket. Your mother, he whispered. Taken 2 hours after you were born. I stared at the photo. The woman had my eyes, my mouth, my hairline. I felt something inside me crack, not pain, not fear. Recognition. I looked up slowly. Why did you find me now? After all these years? His voice broke. I didn't know where to look anymore. But then... Madeline contacted my son tonight. My breath stilled. What does Madeline have to do with this? Alexander's jaw tightened. She mentioned a document. Something belonging to Eleanor. And she said it involved you directly. A chill swept through me. What kind of document? I'm not certain, he admitted. But if it's what I fear, it could expose secrets that many powerful people don't want uncovered. I stared at him, unable to process the weight of everything pouring into my life in a single night. My husband ran off with my sister, I whispered. Now you're telling me she's not even my sister? And that you're my father? Yes, he said quietly. I wish I could give you more time. But the truth won't wait, Harper. My throat tightened, tears forming again, but not from heartbreak this time. From the terrifying possibility that everything I ever believed about who I was a lie, and the even more terrifying possibility that this stranger was the only person telling me the truth. Part 4, The Family That Never Wanted Me, is approximately equal to 550-600 words. I didn't sleep. Not after hearing Alexander's words. Not after holding a photo of a woman who looked like me more than anyone ever had. By sunrise, I was standing on my parents' porch trembling, exhausted, but fueled by something dark and sharp pushing me forward. I didn't knock gently. My fist slammed against the door. My mother opened it, still in her robe, eyes swollen. She looked startled and strangely guilty. Harper? Honey, what? I shoved past her. We're not doing small talk today, I snapped. Where is Dad? He appeared in the hallway, stiffening when he saw me. Harper, we should sit down. No, I said coldly. You're going to answer one question, and you're going to answer it honestly. My voice shook with rage and betrayal. Am I your biological daughter? My mother instantly burst into tears. My father cursed under his breath and rubbed his forehead. Who told you that? He demanded. I laughed, a broken, furious sound. That's your answer? Who told you? My father's jaw clenched. We promised Eleanor's family we'd protect you. So, it's true? I screamed. Everything Alexander said, it's true? My mother sobbed harder. Harper, please. We raised you. We loved you. Did you? I shot back. Because now I'm starting to question everything. She stepped closer, reaching for me. I backed away. Tell me everything, I demanded. Now. My father exhaled heavily, collapsing into a chair like the truth had finally become too heavy to carry. You were brought to us when you were only a few days old, he said quietly. Your mother, Eleanor, she died. Her parents didn't want you anywhere near the Hartwell family. They were terrified of what that world would do to a child. So, they paid you to take me? My voice trembled. No, my mother whispered. They begged us. They wanted you safe. They believed Alexander would never stop searching. They feared he would drag you into their world. See, as their almond is very with the mind. I felt sick. And Madeline? I asked. They exchanged a slow, guilty glance. She found the adoption papers when she was 16, my father admitted. We told her not to say anything. But, he sighed, she changed. She became jealous, angry. My chest tightened painfully. She always thought you were special, my mother whispered. Chosen. She thought one day your real family would come for you, and she hated you for it. Hot tears spilled down my cheeks. So she took Evan to punish me? My voice cracked. Is that what you're telling me? Silence. Terrifying, suffocating silence. I stepped back like I'd been punched. You should have told me, I whispered. You should have told me the truth about who I am. We were trying to protect you, my mother sobbed. We didn't want you to feel unwanted. Congratulations, I choked out. Because now I do. I walked toward the door. My father stood abruptly. Harper, wait. No. I turned back just once. You may have raised me, but you never trusted me with the truth, so don't ask me to trust you now. My mother sank to the floor, crying into her hands. My father's shoulders collapsed in defeat. I walked out into the cold morning air, feeling like the ground beneath me was cracking open everything I knew, everything I believed, splintering apart. Behind me, the only family I ever had was falling apart. Ahead of me, the family I never knew was waiting. And I didn't know which one scared me more. I didn't go home after leaving my parents' house. I just drove nowhere and everywhere until the weight in my chest became too heavy to carry alone. When I finally returned, Alexander was waiting outside my house, standing beside a sleek black car that absolutely did not belong in my neighborhood. He approached gently, as if I were a wounded animal. Harper, you shouldn't stay here. Why? I asked bitterly. Because my whole life turned out to be a lie? No, he said firmly. Because Madeline mentioned a document, something that could destroy you or the entire Hartwell inheritance if it falls into the wrong hands. I stiffened. So I'm in danger now? His silence was answer enough. I exhaled shakily. Fine. Where do we go? His shoulders relaxed just a little. Somewhere safer. The penthouse. I expected a hotel or a guest house. I did not expect a 48th floor penthouse overlooking the city skyline. Floor-to-ceiling windows, marble floors, a soft hum of expensive silence. Welcome home, Alexander said quietly. I stared around, overwhelmed. This place is too much. It's temporary, he assured, until we know who else knows about you. That sentence made my stomach twist. The family photos. While Alexander made phone calls in the other room, I wandered through the penthouse. Every wall displayed photos, weddings, galas, yacht trips, charity balls, the Hartwell family living their perfect, glittering, exclusive life. And I wasn't in a single picture. I didn't belong in this world. Not yet. Maybe not ever. My eyes landed on one silver-framed photo, a woman with soft curls holding a baby. Eleanor. She had my eyes, my smile, my entire face. Something inside me cracked open. I'm so sorry, a voice said gently behind me. I turned. Alexander stood in the doorway, watching me with a softness I didn't expect. She loved you, he whispered. She wanted you. You were never unwanted, Harper. Remember that. I swallowed the lump in my throat. It's a lot to process. He nodded. I know. Then he hesitated. There's someone else you should meet. Enter Griffin Hartwell. The elevator chimed. A tall man, early 30s, sharp jawline, tailored coat, fury radiating from every inch, stormed into the penthouse. Dad, what is going on? You canceled 2 board meetings and… He froze when he saw me. Wait, isn't she the woman from the news? The one whose husband… Enough. Alexander cut him off sharply. Griffin scoffed. So what? You're rescuing random heartbroken women now? Alexander's face hardened. She is your sister. Silence. Griffin blinked. What? Half-sister? I corrected quietly. His face went pale, then red, then something between disbelief and panic. Dad, you can't just… This is insane. You're saying she's part of the family? Alexander's voice was unwavering. She is family. Griffin dragged a hand through his hair. This changes everything. Legally, financially, publicly. I stepped back, overwhelmed. I don't want anything from you. Griffin stared at me for a long moment, then softened just barely. Look, he said, sighing. I'm not great at whatever this is, but if Dad says you're family, then… He exhaled deeply. I'll try. It wasn't affection, but it wasn't hostility anymore, either. Just confusion. And maybe, possibility, the shadow of Madeline. As Griffin left the room, he paused. Oh, Dad? Did you tell her about the document? Alexander tensed. Not yet. Griffin nodded grimly. Then she needs to know soon. Because Madeline isn't playing games. My stomach clenched. What document? I asked. Alexander exchanged a worried glance with Griffin. And that's when I realized Madeline hadn't just run off with my husband. She had run off with secrets worth billions. And she wasn't done destroying my life. Not even close. On the 3rd morning in the penthouse, I woke to the sound of Alexander arguing with someone in the hallway, low, urgent, controlled but shaking with something close to panic. I slipped out of bed and cracked open the door. "It's confirmed," Griffin hissed. "The image is real." "God help us," Alexander whispered. My heart thudded painfully. "What image?" They both turned. Alexander's expression was grim. "Harper, we found the document Madeline hinted at." He handed me a tablet. My breath caught. On the screen was a scanned copy of a handwritten will. Last will and testament, of Eleanor Hartwell. My pulse pounded in my ears as I scrolled, and then I saw it. "I leave my share of the Hartwell Empire, including all voting rights and inheritance, to my daughter, Harper Eleanor Hartwell." My hands began to shake. "Wait, this says I'm the sole heir," I whispered. Alexander nodded, eyes haunted. "Yes, Eleanor signed it weeks before she passed. We never knew it existed." My voice came out, barely audible. "But doesn't that override your will?" Alexander swallowed hard. "Yes." It landed on me like a weight. The Hartwell Empire. Billions. Control, power, influence. And suddenly, I understood why Madeline had run, not just out of jealousy, not just out of spite. She had found something world-shattering. Something dangerous. Griffin dropped onto the couch, rubbing his face. "This will could break the entire family apart. Investors, the board, the media, everyone will go insane if this gets out," I whispered. "But I don't want it. I don't want any of it." Griffin glared at me, but not unkindly. "Want it or not, you have it, and Madeline knows that." Before I could respond, Alexander's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and went pale. "It's her," he whispered. He put it on speaker. Madeline's voice filled the room, bright and venomous. "Hope you're enjoying your little family reunion, Harper." My stomach twisted. Madeline laughed softly. "Oh, relax. I'm not calling to gloat. I'm calling to warn you." Griffin scoffed. "You mean threaten." "Semantics," she purred. "Anyway, you've seen the will now, haven't you?" Alexander roared. "Madeline, this isn't a game." "Oh, but it is," she cut in sharply. "And Harper's the prize." I clenched my jaw. "What do you want from me?" She was silent for a moment. Then, in a chillingly calm voice, she said, "Everything you stole from me." "I didn't steal anything," I shot back. "You took my husband. And you're about to take my future," she snapped. Griffin stepped forward. "You're insane if you think—" "Shut up, Griffin. You always thought you'd take over the company one day. Guess what? Daddy dearest lied. Harper is the real heir, and I'm not letting some charity case princess walk into a billion-dollar crown." Alexander's fists tightened. "Madeline, you have no idea what you're doing." "I know exactly what I'm doing," she said coldly, and then she ended the call. The room felt colder, darker, as if the walls themselves had shrunk. I stared at Alexander. "At what point does this stop being about family and start being about war?" He exhaled shakily. "I'm afraid we already crossed that line." The break-in. That night, as I sat on the sofa clutching a mug of untouched tea, the penthouse alarm shrieked. Red emergency lights flashed along the walls. Griffin sprinted into the living room. Someone bypassed the security grid. My heart jumped into my throat. "You said this place was secure." "It is," he barked. "Which means the person who broke in knows the system." Alexander ran toward the control room. "Stay with Harper." Heavy footsteps echoed down the hallway, slow, purposeful, terrifying. I grabbed the nearest bookend as a weapon. Then a familiar voice drifted through the shadows. "Well, isn't this a charming little family moment?" Madeline stepped into the room, smiling, holding something behind her back. My blood turned to ice. Madeline stood at the end of the hallway like a specter, jaw tight, eyes bright with something feverish, triumphant, unhinged. Snowflakes clung to her coat, melting slowly and dripping onto the marble floor. She looked like she had walked straight out of a nightmare. "Hi, Harper," she purred, stepping closer. "Miss me?" Griffin immediately positioned himself between us. "How the hell did you get past our security?" Madeline smirked. "Please. I dated 2 of your security contractors. Do you think I didn't get the access codes?" Alexander thundered forward. "Madeline, you are trespassing. Put down whatever you're hiding and leave before I—" "Oh, father," she cut in with a cold laugh. "You don't get to threaten me anymore. Not when I have this." She pulled out the age document from behind her back. Eleanor's will. The one that named me as the sole heir. She dangled it casually between 2 fingers. Griffin lunged, but she stepped back, flicking open a lighter. A thin flame danced inches beneath the fragile paper. "Try it," she warned. "I'll burn it before you blink." My breath caught in my throat. "Madeline, what are you doing?" "What I should have done years ago," she screamed, her voice echoing across the penthouse. "You ruined everything. You were the chosen one, the one they whispered about, the one they feared would be taken away. And I was just the spare, the filler, the replacement child." I stepped forward, trembling. I didn't know. I didn't even know I was adopted. "That's the point," she shrieked. "You didn't have to try. You didn't have to work. You just existed and everyone loved you more." Tears stung my eyes. "That's not true," she laughed bitterly. "Then why did Mom and Dad panic when I found the adoption papers? Why did they cry when they talked about you? Why did they tell me to treat you better?" My voice cracked. "Madeline, that wasn't favoritism. That was fear. They didn't want you hurting me." "Well," she hissed, holding the will closer to the flame, "I'm done being the villain in your pretty little story." Griffin barked. "Matey, stop. If you burn that, you're committing federal fraud, corporate destruction, and—" "Oh, spare me the lecture, Griffin," she spat. "Don't pretend you're upset for Harper. You're upset because Daddy's little surprise daughter will outrank you." Alexander stepped forward, pain written across every line of his face. "Madeline, listen to me. I don't want the company torn apart. Harper doesn't want it. No one wants this war." Madeline's jaw trembled. "Oh, but I do." The flame crept upward, singeing the bottom corner. "Stop!" I screamed. Time slowed. My heart pounded against my ribs like it wanted to escape. I didn't think I just moved. I ran toward her. She gasped, stumbling backward. We collided. The lighter fell. The will spun in the air. Griffin dove for the lighter. Alexander lunged for the document. And then, boom. The balcony's glass door shattered inward. Security officers swarmed the room, tackling Madeline to the ground. She screamed, clawing, fighting, kicking as they restrained her. "Let me go," she shrieked. "She stole my life, my future, my everything." Her voice cracked into something raw, desperate, broken. When they dragged her to her feet, she thrashed violently, eyes locked on mine. "You did this," she hissed. "You ruined everything. You were never supposed to come back." "Madeline," my voice broke. "I never wanted your life. I never wanted any of this." Her face twisted with grief and hatred, indistinguishable from each other. "You should have stayed hidden," she whispered. "It was better that way." Then security pulled her out, her sobs echoing like ghostly footsteps down the hall. The aftermath. The moment the elevator doors slammed shut on Madeline, something inside me collapsed. My knees buckled. Griffin caught me before I hit the floor. "Easy," he murmured. "It's over now." But it didn't feel over. It felt hollow. Alexander approached and knelt beside me, holding Eleanor's will miraculously saved. "Harper," his voice trembled. "I'm so sorry." I looked at the document, then at him. "This isn't just a will," I whispered. "It's a curse." He pulled me into a trembling embrace. "No, it's your birthright, and no one, not even Madeline, can take that away." But as I clung to him, shaking, one terrifying thought echoed in my mind. If this is what the truth looks like, what does the future hold? Madeline's screams still echoed in my head long after the elevator doors swallowed her. Even hours later, I sat on the edge of the penthouse sofa, hands wrapped in a blanket, staring at nothing while the city lights glowed below like distant galaxies. Everything felt unreal. My husband betrayed me. My sister wasn't my sister. My parents lied. And a billionaire I met only days ago had turned out to be my father. It was too much for one lifetime, yet somehow, this was the life I was living. Alexander sat beside me silently, not pushing, not speaking, just being there. And strangely, that helped more than any words could. Finally, he broke the silence. "Harper, what happened tonight isn't your fault," I swallowed. "It feels like it is. Madeline hates me. Evan left me. My parents loved you the only way they knew how," he finished softly. "And Madeline, she's drowning in her own demons. That isn't your burden to carry." I stared out the window, tears gathering again. "Why couldn't we just be a normal family?" I whispered. Alexander exhaled shakily. "Because powerful families are rarely peaceful ones. But I promise you this, your mother fought for you. She wanted you to have a life untouched by the darkness of this world." I turned to him slowly. What was she like? His eyes warmed with a gentle grief. She was kind, he said. Gentle-hearted. Stubborn when she believed in something. She loved fiercely, without hesitation. He paused. And she would have adored you. The tears finally fell. For the first time since discovering the truth, I didn't feel broken. I felt connected, rooted, seen. The legal aftermath. The days that followed moved like a storm in slow motion. Madeline was charged with breaking and entering, attempted destruction of legal documents, corporate extortion, and multiple counts of harassment. Evan stayed in Paris, sending one pathetic email. "I'm sorry, I got confused," which I deleted without reading. I filed for divorce. My parents tried calling. I wasn't ready to answer. Maybe someday. But not now. Meanwhile, Alexander filed a petition in court to restore my birth name, Harper Eleanor Hartwell. Seeing it written on legal documents felt surreal, like stepping into a life I'd never asked for, but somehow always belonged to. Eleanor's will was validated. My inheritance confirmed, but I refused the power. I don't want control of the empire, I told Alexander and the lawyers. I want my life back, not a corporation. Alexander smiled softly. That's exactly why you deserve a place in it. I agreed to take a seat on the board, symbolic, ceremonial, nothing more. And for once, it felt like the right choice. Family, redefined. Griffin changed too. The hostility he first had melted away into something unexpected. Protectiveness. Even brotherhood. One evening, he knocked on my door awkwardly. I bought you this. He handed me a mug that said, "World's okayest sister." I laughed so hard I nearly cried. He scratched his neck. "It's stupid, I know. It's perfect," I said, hugging the mug to my chest. That hug, our first real one, felt like the start of something new. Something real. Christmas. 1 year later, Alexander stood by the fireplace, holding a small velvet box. "It belonged to Eleanor," he said, placing it gently in my hands. Inside lay a delicate silver necklace with a single engraved letter. "E. For Eleanor," he whispered. "And for you." I fastened it around my neck, fingers trembling. "It's beautiful," I whispered. He smiled with gentle pride. "So, are you?" Griffin lifted a glass. "To family, the real kind." We clinked glasses as the snow fell outside, soft, quiet, peaceful. The kind of snow that makes the world feel clean again. And standing there between my father and my brother, wrapped in warmth I never expected to find, I finally understood. I didn't just survive. I transformed. I became Harper Hartwell, daughter, sister, stronger than every storm that tried to break me. And this time, I wasn't alone.